Not every kid who grows up in a cult is afraid of white cars. I think that was just pretty specific to us. Hello, I'm Lydia. I grew up in a cult within the Mormon church that was started by my grandmother. You can read the whole story in the double memoir that talks about my story growing up in a cult and my dad's story of looking for his kids for 25 years. And you can find it easy at our link. So I had been told since the time that I was born that a band of Satan worshipers that was led by my father had kidnapped me, and I had gone through like physical and mental torture. So that there were needles in my eyes and they would break my spine over and over. And all of that was to make my brain susceptible to be controlled by Satan. And anything could be a trigger word. So there were these trigger words that if I ever heard them, then Satan would control my body and I would be like Satan's little soldier. So my mom told my brother and I to really track anything that made us a little uncomfortable or scary, because it was probably associated with the torture that could take our brains over at any time. And because I was so scared of being followed, one day in the car, I looked back and I saw that there was a car that had been following us for a little while. Remember, I'm like 5 years old, maybe like 4. And my mom was like, "What color is the car?" And I told her, "It's a white car." So then we started winding through the Hollywood Hills and like trying to lose this like Satan-controlled car. My brother and I were crying. We were like collapsed in the back seat. Oh, in case you weren't taught this as a child, if there is an enemy controlled by Satan around you, what you want to do is you want to take off your seatbelt and you want to like get on the floor in the back seat, because that's where you're least likely to be seen through the windows. I cannot tell you how many times in my childhood I was on the floor of the back seat. So eventually, with one swerve around the corner, we lose them and we live another day. So I'm like crying and terrified. And my mom is like, "White cars are a trigger for the programming in your brain. So we have to think of a different thing to call white cars, because I'm afraid of bringing them up with you because Satan might control your body." And remember, I'm 5. So the name that we called white cars so that I didn't get captured by Satan was Crashies, because that's what a 5-year-old calls white cars controlled by Satan. Please also note how many people have white cars. So we would just be like driving on a normal day and I'd be like, "Crashy!" And I would start crying and my brother would start crying and we'd both like fall on the floor in the back seat. And the moral of the story is that even if Satan is chasing you, you should totally wear your seatbelt.